Major League Baseball All-Star game. We're now joined by Joey Knight, who covers Tampa Bay, works for the Tampa Bay Times, covers USF, and they picked up the commitment in the transfer portal from former Baylor quarterback Gerry Bohanon. Hey, Joey, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. What's been the reaction to Gerry committing to Jeff Scott and the Bulls?
Well, as you would imagine, a lot of excitement. This is a team that needs a little of excitement. They've won 3 games the last 2 years, and everybody's pointing to year 3 of the Scott era as this has to be some type of tangible turnaround on the field. So people are excited to see them appear to get an upgrade. There's also a little bit of, I don't want to say apprehension, but people saying, I thought we had a quarterback, a young guy, left-hander, Timmy McClain was a Mr. Football in Florida. Was hot and cold last year. What happened to Timmy McClain? And the way I've responded to those people in the last 24 hours or so since we've got these news, it just reminds me of a line that the former coach Willie Taggart used to say all the time to his players. He told his players, hey, we are recruiting guys to come and take your job. And that's pretty much a universal recruiting philosophy. And that's what Jeff Scott's doing. I know for a fact that they did not go out after spring portal hunting looking for a quarterback. That was not part of their agenda. But when this young man expressed some interest, became available, they were not going to turn down the opportunity to upgrade any position, including quarterback. So they made the move, and obviously Gerry Bohanon liked what he heard.
How much does this maybe help Timmy McClain maybe not have to be the guy so quickly as he was thrown into the fire with a roster around him that probably was not built up to have such a young quarterback behind it either?
Well, maybe in a previous life it would help him, but we live in a microwave society now. We live in the portal era. So I honestly don't know what Timmy McClain's thought process is right now and how he looks at this. I think maybe a generation ago, Jeff Scott could have sat him down and said, hey, this I'm going to do everything I can to make my program better. It's not a slight against you, Timmy. This is just a chance to help improve our football team, blah, blah, blah. And maybe Timmy McClain would have taken it as, hey, I'm not going to shy away from competition. I'm going to embrace this and embrace a new teammate. And maybe he will. Maybe Timmy McClain will embrace this competition and look at it as a chance for him to get better personally. But, we live in a different era right now where something like this occurs. You see a quarterback or two hitting the portal a week or two later. I don't know if that's going to happen right now, and I don't know how Timmy McClain's going to respond.
Joey, you had a chance to visit with Gerry, is that correct, on Sunday?
Yes, I talked to him by phone.
Yeah, what was it? I saw a couple of the quotes about Jeff Scott and this and that. What was overall your thoughts, anything else he may have shared with you?
He just really liked what Jeff Scott and Travis Trickett, the new offensive coordinator, he really liked their vision, and he seemed to like their passion. He seemed to really just, the way I gathered it, the way it came across to me, he thought Jeff Scott was a genuine guy, a good family man, a good husband, a good dad. I think that impressed him. I asked him, I said, you had opportunities to go other places that could have benefited you more in this NIL generation. If you know what I'm talking about, places where he could have done a lot better for himself individually. And he said it wasn't about that. He said football is a passion of mine, and I'm paraphrasing. He said football is a passion of mine, and when you meet somebody that matches that passion and has a vision like Coach Scott has, it all clicks. And I'm paraphrasing what he said, but he spoke about, it wasn't all about getting yours in NIL. It was about going somewhere where he believed in the vision and found people that shared a passion for football that he had. I came away very impressed in that short conversation. He's an older guy, obviously a mature guy who has started at the highest level. So obviously there is some maturity there, but I came away very impressed, and he seemed to me in that conversation genuine about his thoughts and intentions.
How badly does Jeff Scott need to? I mean, and that schedule's going to be hard to find 3 wins in, but how badly does he need those 3 wins to get to a bowl this year? Those 3 more wins.
I think it's critical. Everybody talks about the 3rd year. You should be able to turn it around, right? He has turned around the culture. I believe he has done that. I believe he has assembled a staff and a group of players that, for the most part, seem to have the same vision. They believe in what Jeff Scott has sold them. I believe there is greater camaraderie around that program. I believe that, they've got some things coming, away from Saturdays, not talking about just Saturdays on the field. They're building an indoor practice facility, which has been desperately needed for years. That should be up later this year, up and running. So there are tangible signs that this program has turned the corner, just in terms of the culture and the facilities. But the culture and facilities don't mean much when you're not winning on Saturday. That's the final step they got to take. And this is critical for Jeff Scott. If they don't get to a bowl, if it's another 3 or 4 win season, Michael Kelly, the athletic director, has a really difficult decision to make, because at the end of the day, it's about selling tickets, and they're having a hard time selling tickets.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, but I look at the schedule, what I saw, he made the commitment, and wow. I mean, they've got an uphill climb, but, he's played against Gerry, has played against these type of people with a different school, of course, a Power 5 school loaded up in the depth chart as well. But, golly, Joey, this is one where, when your non-conference games are Brigham Young in Florida, Louisville, holy crap, right?
And you do that in part to, when you're a program like USF that is on the outside of the Power 5, you need to schedule those games to make money for your program. Let's face it. And to fill that NFL stadium in which they play. But, on the flip side of that, it's going to be awfully hard to cobble together the wins needed for bowl eligibility. What I will say about Jeff is they have done an incredible job this year this offseason in the transfer portal. They've brought about 11 or 12 guys in. That's not the way Jeff wanted to build his program initially. He's from the Dabo School. You recruit and develop. Well, this is desperate circumstances, and those call for desperate measures. So they had to tap into the portal, and they've done it pretty effectively. And the culmination of that is Gerry Bohanon.
Is there pressure on him to win, not just because of getting the program better, but because they have eyes on a stadium on campus and perhaps conference expansion and different other things going on with South Florida?
Sure. I thought at one time an on-campus stadium was a pipe dream, but the new administration, they have a new president here at the University of South Florida, and I think her vision and the vision of the current board of trustees is to eventually build an on-campus stadium. And, of course, that costs dollars. This indoor practice facility costs dollars. That indoor practice facility was first hatched, the idea, in November of 2017, when Charlie Strong was still the coach and Mark Harlan was still the athletic director. So it's 5 years later, and it's just now coming to fruition. And why? Because it was a real struggle for a few years to get donors. So, yes, the pressure's on Jeff. If they want to do the things that this program wants to do in terms of building more facilities, more swag, for lack of a better term, and on-campus stadium, they've got to win. That's how you get boosters, right? You win.
Yep.
Put out an exciting product.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Joey, one other note, I saw this as another tweet from you. He mentioned he had interest. He visited Missouri. We had heard that. Also, had even thought maybe Colorado or Arizona State might have been in the mix, but he had interest from Oklahoma as well?
I did not ask him that. I got that intel from USF.
Okay.
They were, and trust me on this intel, it's about as high up as you can get. And I was told that They were battling Oklahoma, Georgia Tech, Liberty for Gerry, and of course we all know he made that visit with Missouri. So there were one or two heavy hitters in there.
Hey, Joey, good stuff, man. And we'll be in touch throughout the year, hopefully, and have a chance to maybe hear from you again as things go on. And good luck. Well, I know the schedule itself is an uphill battle, but would love to see Gerry have success. We like him. He's a great kid. You know that from just probably a phone conversation. You will love everything about him, and hopefully he could also play pretty well as well.
Well, I got a great first impression, and it was a pleasure being with you guys.
Thank you. Joey Knight, Tampa Bay Times, at TBT, at TB Times _Bulls is Joey Knight's Twitter handle, by the way, on the commitment from Gerry Bohanon. Good luck to Gerry. And obviously Blake Shapen, he has his team at Baylor after a tremendous end to last year. And then also, of course, both of them having the injury bug hit them. One gave Shapen a chance, and then the other, I always would like to have seen what would have happened. Based on the Big 12 championship game, had Blake Shapen not gotten hurt, and the second half could have been different if he would have been healthy, because he was just riddling a damn good defense against Oklahoma State. What would they have done if Bohanon was cleared to play in the Sugar Bowl? Who would have started that game? Would they have rotated them? Would it have been Bohanon or would it have been Shapen? Because the old school, which is, again, unwritten rules, I know a lot of that's out the window, would have been, if you were a starter and you lost your job because of an injury and then you come back, you are the starter. Now, Drew Bledsoe didn't get his job back.
Tony
Romo didn't get his job back. And those are some exceptions. But, you know, sometimes you wonder because of how, well, he went out because of an injury, not because of performance. Would have been interesting to see how Jeff Grimes, Sean Bell, Baylor's coaching staff, Dave Aranda would have made that decision against Ole Miss in the Sugar Bowl.
I do think it would have been very interesting, especially given Blake Shapen he could have just played a little poorly in the second half against Oklahoma State. Given the way he played in the first half of that game, he would have made their decision really interesting, seeing as he was riding a real hot hand. You know, you kind of don't want to mess with that. And knowing, even though you have, you had 5 weeks between Gerry's injury and the bowl game, and that's plenty of time for a hamstring to heal in theory. Hamstrings don't completely heal for months. I mean, it's a long injury because, it's not like you can, just start running again. You got to build up the strength again. Like every little tweak hurts it. And
he didn't, he probably wasn't, he was cleared, but you wonder about how much of 100% he was against Ole Miss, and their defense played well. 7 of 17, 40 yards. He did have a couple of plays where he used his legs, and then he made a couple of key throws as well. And there was also some, whoa, this isn't going well. But Baylor won the game. They won the Sugar Bowl. They beat an SEC, a good one, in Ole Miss down in New Orleans.